They brought the giant in chains at sunrise, and from the moment he stepped onto the estate, everyone felt it. Something dangerous had arrived, something that did not belong in a cage. The morning fog curled around the manor like a warning no one could read. Workers froze in place as the wagon rolled through the iron gates, wheels groaning, horses trembling, chains rattling against wood. No one had ever seen a man that size, not in this land, not in this lifetime. And at the balcony above, she stood watching, the master's wife, Lady Evelyn, cold, sharp, wrapped in silk and secrets. But even she couldn't hide her shock. The giant stepped down slowly, every movement heavy, controlled, like he was restraining strength that could crush bones without effort. His wrists were bound with 3 layers of iron forged for wild beasts, not men. The guards kept their distance. They didn't dare touch him unless they had to. His eyes lifted, dark, quiet, older than any story these lands whispered about. Evelyn felt something strange carve through her chest. Not fear, something worse. Recognition. The captain bowed toward her. "My lady, your husband ordered this one for the quarries. Stronger than 10 men. Tamed enough to obey." He chuckled under his breath, or so they claim. But the giant didn't look tamed. He looked like a storm waiting for the right wind. Evelyn stepped closer, her eyes searching his face. "What land do you come from?" she asked softly. No answer. Just a steady, unreadable stare that felt like it pierced straight through her. The guards tugged his chains. "Move, beast!" He did, slowly, deliberately, his bare feet carving deep shapes in the dirt. Every step proved he wasn't built for labor. He wasn't built for servitude. He was built for something else. Something darker. Whispers spread like wildfire through the workers. "He's not human. He's a monster. He'll break free." But one old man whispered what no one else dared. "He's a hunter. I've seen those eyes before." Evelyn froze. Hunter. The word echoed inside her skull like a memory clawing back to life. And as the giant was dragged toward the manor's lower halls, she knew one thing with terrifying clarity. This man was not meant to serve, he was meant to kill. If you're hooked already, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss next. The giant didn't speak a word, but that silence was louder than any scream, and Lady Evelyn felt it. He was hiding something. The lower halls smelled of damp stone and old punishments. Torches flickered as the guards dragged the giant inside, their boots echoing against the cold floor, but he didn't resist. He walked like a man who had already learned the weight of chains and no longer feared them. Evelyn followed from a distance. She shouldn't have. She knew she shouldn't, but something in his eyes had hooked her like a shadow she couldn't escape. The guards shoved the giant into a stone chamber and slammed the iron gate behind him. The sound rang through the corridor like a threat. "He'll work the quarries at dawn," one guard muttered. "If he survives the first day," another laughed. Evelyn stepped forward. "Leave us." The guards hesitated. "My lady, your husband is not here," she cut sharply. "Open your ears, not your mouth." They bowed and retreated quickly, leaving her alone with the chained giant. The air thickened instantly. Her pulse tightened. The silence between them pulsed like a living thing. Evelyn studied him through the bars. "You understand me, don't you?" she whispered. His gaze lifted, slow, calculated. He didn't blink. Evelyn's breath caught. "You're not a beast. You're something else." And still, no answer. But the slightest shift in his eyes made her step back. Fear? No. Recognition again. Like he knew her. Like he had seen her before. She tried to steady her voice. "What are you?" A long, heavy moment passed. Then he exhaled. Not a word, but a sound that was almost a growl buried under exhaustion. Evelyn swallowed hard. "The men outside, they think you're a laborer. They think you're broken. They think you're safe." She leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "But I saw something in you they didn't." His jaw tightened. "You're dangerous," she breathed. A faint tremor shivered through the torches. Or maybe it was her. Evelyn stepped back as the realization clawed up her spine. This man is not here by accident. Before she could speak again, a voice boomed from the staircase above. "Evelyn?" Her blood froze. It was the master, her husband, and he was coming down the stairs. Fast. Footsteps thundered down the stairs, and in that split second, Evelyn understood something brutal. If her husband saw her near the giant, blood would spill. The torches shivered as the master's shadow stretched across the hallway. Lord Alistair's voice echoed with authority sharpened by cruelty, the kind only a man who owned too many secrets could wield. Evelyn stepped back from the cell instantly, her heartbeat pounding like fists against her ribs. The giant didn't move. He didn't flinch. He just watched, silent, calculating, unreadable. Alistair reached the bottom step, his eyes narrowing the moment he spotted her. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his tone too calm to be safe. Evelyn lifted her chin. "Inspecting the new laborer." Alistair's gaze shifted to the giant, studying him like a merchant inspecting an animal's teeth. "Impressive, isn't he?" he said, smirking. "Cost me a fortune, but worth every coin." The giant's shoulders stiffened, a subtle reaction only Evelyn noticed. "He'll be useful," Alistair continued. "Stronger than the others, fiercer, harder to break, but I enjoy a challenge." Evelyn's stomach tightened. Break. That word rattled in the air like iron scraping stone. Alistair reached through the bars and grabbed the giant's jaw, forcing his face upward. Most men would have looked away in fear. Not this one. His eyes stayed locked on Alistair's, cold, ancient, deadly. A silent warning that only fools ignored. Alistair chuckled. "Defiant. Good. I like defiance. It makes the moment of obedience more rewarding." Evelyn felt a chill crawl down her spine. "Come," Alistair snapped, releasing the giant's face. "You shouldn't be in the lower halls. This place is not for you." Evelyn turned to leave, but her eyes couldn't help drifting back to the cell. The giant's gaze met hers, only for a second, but in that second she felt it. A message, a plea, a threat. She couldn't tell. But she knew this. The man behind those bars wasn't just strong. He wasn't just dangerous. He was waiting. Waiting for something or someone. As she climbed the stairs behind her husband, Evelyn whispered under her breath, too soft for any human to hear, but not too soft for a hunter. "I'll come back." The giant's eyes flickered, just once, like a promise buried under silence. If this chapter pulled you deeper into the mystery, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss next. Night fell heavy over the manor, and with it came whispers. Whispers about the giant who didn't break, and the lady who couldn't stay away. The moon hung low, dripping silver light through the high windows of Evelyn's chambers, but sleep refused to come. Her thoughts kept circling the same place, the lower halls, the cell, the giant's eyes. Those eyes, silent, sharp, ancient, like a beast that had once hunted kings. She wrapped her shawl around her shoulders and stepped into the corridor. The manor slept under thick shadows. Only a few guards patrolled the main gate. No one expected the lady of the house to wander this late, but Evelyn did. Her steps were soft, almost silent, yet her heartbeat was loud enough to betray her. As she descended the staircase, a cold draft curled around her ankles. The torches dimmed the deeper she went, until only the faint glow ahead marked the entrance to the lower halls. She hesitated. A part of her screamed to turn back, to forget him, forget his stare, forget the strange pull she didn't understand. But she kept walking. When she reached the cell, she found him exactly as before, sitting in the shadows, chains lying dead still around him. He didn't lift his head when she approached. Not at first. Evelyn stepped closer, fingers brushing the bars. "You're awake," she whispered. The giant finally looked up. His gaze was different now, more guarded, more aware. "You could have tried to escape," she said quietly. "The guards were drunk at sunset. The chains are old. But you didn't." A long silence stretched between them. Then, his first sound, a slow, controlled breath. Not a word, but intention. "You choose to stay," she said. His jaw tightened. Evelyn leaned closer. "You're not here by force. You're here by purpose." For the first time, his voice emerged, low, rough, almost unused. "Watching." Evelyn's breath caught. Watching what? His eyes shifted past her shoulder into the dark corridor behind her. "Not what," he said. A pause. Heavy. Cold. "Who?" Evelyn's skin prickled. Every torch flame in the hallway flickered violently. Before she could ask more, a distant door slammed somewhere upstairs. The giant's expression hardened. "They know," he said. "Know what?" she whispered. His answer was a single word, one that froze her bones solid. "Me." The giant finally spoke, and with one single word, the walls around Evelyn began to crumble. "Me." Someone in the manor knew who he was, and that meant danger was already moving. Evelyn's pulse hammered in her throat. "What do you mean they know you?" she whispered. The giant didn't answer immediately. His eyes stayed fixed on the corridor behind her, the shadows seeming thicker now, heavier, as if something was lurking inside them. "Your husband," he said. "He knows." Evelyn staggered back. "That's impossible. Alistair bought you at the markets outside the capital. He'd never seen you before." "Not me as I am," the giant said, voice low. "Me as I was." Evelyn stared at him, unsure whether she'd misheard. "As you were?" A soft, metallic creak echoed down the hallway. Someone else was in the lower halls. The giant rose to his full height, towering over the bars, his chains straining. He growled, "You shouldn't be here. Go." But Evelyn didn't move. "Tell me who you are," she insisted. "Tell me why you're here, why you—" Footsteps, getting closer. The giant's eyes snapped to the left, and his voice dropped to a lethal whisper. "Leave, now!" Evelyn turned just as a guard rounded the corner, one of Alistair's loyal men, broad-shouldered, drunk with authority and wine. His torchlight wavered as he spotted her. "My lady, what are you doing down here at this hour?" he said, confused. She steadied herself. "Checking the new laborer. The master will want a report." The guard frowned. "In the middle of the night?" Her mind raced. "I couldn't sleep." The guard's gaze slid to the giant, then back to her with something darker in his expression. Suspicion, curiosity, or worse, interest. "That's dangerous, my lady," he said, stepping closer. "These beasts can turn wild." The giant shifted in his chains, muscles tightening like coiled rope. The guard's hand drifted to his baton. Evelyn forced a regal tone. "Return to your post." But the guard didn't move until the giant stepped forward, chains clanking violently against the floor. The guard jumped back, startled, and the torch slipped from his hand, clattering across the stones. The giant's voice rumbled from inside the cell. "Touch her, and I break steel." The guard froze, pale and shaking. All right, I'm going." He fled up the stairs, torch forgotten. Silence swallowed the hall. Evelyn turned back to the giant, breath unsteady. "Why would you protect me?" The giant leaned closer, eyes burning like embers. "Because your husband brought me here to kill him." If that twist shocked you, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss next. "He brought me here to kill him." Those words didn't just shake Evelyn. They shattered the entire world she thought she understood. Evelyn's throat tightened. "You're lying," she whispered. "Alistair would never bring someone here to kill himself." The giant didn't blink. "Not by choice." The torch on the wall hissed, spitting sparks onto the floor, like the manor itself rejected the truth. Evelyn shook her head. "Explain." The giant stepped deeper into the dim light, revealing scars carved across his arms, jagged, violent marks that didn't belong to a simple laborer. "I am not a quarry worker," he said. "Not a servant, not a captive taken for strength alone." His voice rumbled like distant thunder. "I was a hunter for kings." Evelyn staggered back. "Impossible. Hunters died centuries ago." "We were erased," he corrected. "Not dead. Hidden. Feared." Evelyn's breath faltered. Her mother used to tell stories, old, forbidden tales about giants who could track a man by heartbeat, who could kill without sound, who could smell fear like smoke. Hunters were myths meant to scare children, yet one stood before her. "He still doesn't explain why you're here," she whispered. The giant's jaw clenched. "Your husband purchased me using a name no man should know, a name tied to my past. Only one purpose brings a hunter into another man's home." Evelyn's hands began to tremble. "To kill a threat?" He nodded once. "But hunters do not choose their targets," he added. "We are bound by oath, by blood, by debt. Someone else sent me. Someone your husband fears more than death." A chilling silence settled. Evelyn's voice cracked. If you're here to kill him, why tell me?" His eyes softened, just barely. "Because you were not meant to be part of this." Her heart stuttered. "Part of what?" The giant stepped closer to the bars, lowering his voice to a harsh whisper. "Your husband is hiding something, something ancient, something that belongs to the hunters." Evelyn's blood turned cold. "What did he steal?" Before the giant could answer, the iron door at the top of the stairs slammed open again, harder this time. Several footsteps thundered down. Not one guard, many. The giant tensed. "Leave! Now!" Evelyn stared at him, heart tearing in two directions. "Go!" he snarled, chains rattling violently. "They must not find you here." The voices were close, too close. Evelyn turned and ran into the shadows just as the guards stormed the lower halls, and the giant lowered his head like a warrior preparing for war. If the truth about the hunter has you hooked, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss next. The guards stormed into the lower halls, but they weren't coming to check the giant. They were coming with purpose, with fear, with orders that smelled like blood. Evelyn pressed herself into the shadows, heart ricocheting inside her chest. She watched through the narrow crack between stones as 5 guards marched toward the cell, armed, tense, whispering in panicked tones. The giant remained still, unmoved, unbroken, like a mountain waiting for the storm to foolishly strike first. "Lord Alistair wants him chained tighter," one guard barked. "Double the locks. He doesn't trust the beast." Another muttered, "He shouldn't trust himself, not after what he found." Evelyn's breath hitched. Found what? The giant's eyes flicked toward her hiding place just for a heartbeat, but she stayed perfectly still. The guards approached the cell, fumbling with iron tools, chains, and padlocks. Their hands shook, their breathing shook, even their courage shook. One stepped too close, too loud, too confident. The giant moved. A blur of muscle, a snap of iron, a sound like thunder trapped in a narrow hall. He yanked his chain with such force, the bar anchoring it to the wall tore free. The guard screamed as the giant swung the chain like a weapon, slamming him into the iron bars. The other guard stumbled back. "He's breaking loose! Stop him!" They lunged. The giant didn't retreat. He stepped forward, slamming his shoulder into the gate. The bars groaned, bending outward. Stone dust rained from the ceiling. Evelyn gasped silently. This wasn't just strength. This was something else, like the earth itself was helping him break free. The guards attacked wildly. The giant struck one with the broken chain, knocking him unconscious instantly. Another tried to stab him through the bars. The giant caught the blade with his bare hand. Metal screamed. The guard dropped the weapon in terror. "We need more men! He's not human!" The giant's voice rumbled through the hall. "No, I am Hunter." With one final heave, the gate snapped open. The guard stumbled back, scrambling for the stairs. Evelyn's world stopped. He was free. But instead of chasing them, the giant turned and faced her hiding place. His eyes locked onto hers, calm, deliberate, certain. "Come, you're not safe here." Evelyn stepped from the shadows, pulse shaking her entire body. "Where are we going?" The giant looked up the stairs where the guards fled. "To finish what your husband began." If this escape shook you, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss next week. The giant was free. But freedom didn't calm him, it sharpened him. Because hunters weren't meant to escape, they were meant to finish their mission. Evelyn followed him up the cold stone steps, her legs trembling with every frantic heartbeat. The torches flickered wildly as if shrinking from the giant's presence. He didn't run, he didn't sprint. He moved with frightening purpose, each step silent, precise, deadly. "What are you going to do?" Evelyn whispered. He didn't look back. "Find your husband." Evelyn grabbed his arm. "To kill him?" He stopped. Slowly, he turned to her, towering, breath calm, eyes burning with something ancient. "If he forces my hand." Her chest tightened. "You don't want to kill him?" "My mission is not to kill. My mission is to retrieve what he stole." Evelyn's voice cracked. "What did he steal?" The giant's expression hardened. "A relic. A binding stone. Without it, hunters lose their oath, lose control, become monsters." Evelyn stepped back, horrified. "So that's why you were brought here. Someone sent you to reclaim it." He nodded once. "And your husband plans to use it, to command the strongest hunter alive." Evelyn's blood ran cold. "You!" The giant didn't deny it. They reached the top of the stairs. The manor above had fallen into chaos, shouts echoing through the halls, guards scrambling, doors slamming, dogs barking in panic. "He'll be in his private study. That's where he hides anything of value," Evelyn whispered. The giant motioned for her to stay behind. "You go no further." "No," she shook her head. "If he's stolen something powerful enough to control you, I need to see it." His jaw flexed. Annoyance or respect, she couldn't tell. But he allowed her to walk beside him. They moved through the shadowed corridors, avoiding guards, slipping past servants fleeing in terror. Every few steps, the manor shook, like the walls knew the hunter had awakened. At last, they reached the master's study. The door was shut, locked, and glowing faintly with a blue light beneath the frame. The giant stiffened. He opened it. "Opened what?" He didn't answer. He simply pushed his palm against the door. The wood hissed, burning under his touch. Then the door blasted inward with a crack that echoed through the entire estate. Inside stood Alistair, holding something, wrapped in cloth, glowing, pulsing. A stolen relic of the hunters. Alistair smiled coldly. "So, the beast finally comes home." If this confrontation has you on edge, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss next. The study trembled with tension. Alistair held the relic, and the hunter's eyes burned with silent fury. Only one question mattered now. Who would strike first? Alistair's smile was calm, too calm. "You've grown strong," he said, nodding toward the giant. "Stronger than I imagined, but not strong enough." The giant didn't speak. He stepped forward, chains rattling softly, but his stance was deadly, coiled, patient, like a predator circling its prey. Evelyn stood frozen, heart pounding. She realized the room was smaller than she thought. Every shadow could hide a weapon, or death. Alistair held the relic higher, letting its faint blue glow wash over his face. "Do you know what this is?" he asked, almost casually. "Do you know what it can do?" The giant's jaw tightened. "Yes, and it doesn't belong to you." Alistair chuckled. "You think you can take it from me? That you can challenge me in my own house?" The hunter stepped closer. The air seemed to shift. Lamps flickered. Dust danced in the light, though no wind moved it. Alistair's smile faltered slightly. He wasn't expecting precision, inevitability. The giant wasn't just strong, he was patient, calculated. "You're dangerous," Alistair said, "but I've planned for every outcome." He pressed a hidden button beneath his desk. A trap door yawned open behind him. The giant's eyes didn't move from Alistair's face. "Your tricks won't save you." Evelyn stepped forward. "Stop him, please, don't fight." The giant shook his head. "I don't want to hurt her." Alistair's laugh was sharp, desperate. "She's part of this, isn't she? You wouldn't harm her, but I don't care." With a sudden motion, he lunged toward the relic, trying to toss it through the trap door. But the giant was faster, too fast. He caught the relic mid-air, catching it with one massive hand. Alistair froze. Sweat rolled down his temple. For the first time, he looked afraid. You are not just a man. You're—" The giant didn't finish him. He stepped forward, holding the relic tightly, eyes like fire. Every step vibrated through the floor. Evelyn's stomach dropped. She knew the next moment could decide everything: life, death, and the secrets buried within the hunter's past. The silence stretched. Only the sound of the glowing relic and the hunter's measured breathing filled the room. Alistair swallowed hard, realizing his fate. The hunter's voice cut through the tension, low and dangerous. "This ends tonight." If this battle for the relic has your heart racing, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss the thrilling final.
Everything came down to this moment. The hunter, the relic, the master who dared to steal what he could never control. No one would leave unchanged. Alistair stumbled back, eyes wide. You won't leave me alive," he shouted. The hunter didn't answer. He stepped closer, each footfall shaking the floor like thunder. Chains clinked softly against his wrists, but they weren't a restraint, they were a warning. Evelyn's hands shook. She wanted to scream, to stop this, but she knew better. Nothing could stop the hunter now. Alistair raised the relic, trying to summon power, to bend it to his will. But the hunter's hand closed around it, and the glow dimmed, flickering as if acknowledging its rightful owner. "You have no idea what you've done," Alistair spat, voice trembling. "You could rule kingdoms with this." "You could only rule death," the hunter replied, calm, deadly. "And even then, you'd fail." With a sudden motion, the hunter slammed the relic on the floor. Blue energy exploded outward, sending Alistair sprawling, burning his robes. The walls shook, and dust rained down like snow in a storm. Evelyn ducked instinctively. The hunter stepped over the shattered relic, towering over Alistair. "This ends now," he repeated. Alistair scrambled backward, fear overtaking arrogance. "No, you'll—" But the hunter's fist moved with blinding speed, knocking Alistair unconscious. Not a fatal blow, but enough to make sure the stolen relic would never be misused again. Silence fell.
The manor seemed to exhale, the tension dissolving into stillness. Evelyn stepped forward cautiously. "Is it over?" The hunter looked at her, his eyes softening just slightly. "For now. The relic is safe. He will live, to remember why he should never steal again." She nodded, relief flooding through her. For the first time she saw him not as a terrifying giant, but as a protector, a force beyond comprehension. "I thank you," she whispered. The hunter gave a slight nod. "I am bound by duty, nothing more." Evelyn looked around at the broken room, the scattered remnants of chaos, and realized how close they had come to death. "Will you stay?" He shook his head. "My path is mine. I am a hunter. I go where I am needed." And then, without another word, he walked toward the shattered doorway. His massive frame disappeared into the shadows of the night, leaving Evelyn alone, but changed forever. The relic lay dormant, its power returned to safety, and the manor would never forget the night a hunter came to claim justice.